Every month Wizards of the Coast release new material on their webpage for playtesting in their ongoing series Unearthed Arcana. It allows them to gauge the community's interest in upcoming content and helps them to balance it. I thought I would do my part to help Wizards out, and so I will be starting up a recurring series here on my channel, where I offer my thoughts, feedback and feelings on the material currently being tested. This month's Unearthed Arcana is a new origin for the Sorcerer class, the Giant Soul. Just like you might expect from a name, Giant Soul Sorcerers are imbued with power from one of the many types of giants that exist. I rather like the idea of a character having some giant blood, or at least part of their magic in their blood. Giants in D&D are powerful magical creatures with innate powers that set them apart from others, so it's a good fit for a sorcerer origin. If you'd like to read along as I talk about my views on the new origin, then I have provided a link to the article in the description below. As always, the lore provided with the Unearthed Arcana is a bit bare bones. Usually the lore is tweaked and expanded before the material is released in an official book. The lore we are given describes that during mythic times, the giants of the legendary giant empire of Astoria imbued a handful of small folk with some of their power, and the Giant Soul Sorcerers are the descendants of those rare individuals. Overall a pretty cool idea. There is one part that I wish they would change though. The description also mentions that over time these giant souls have spread across the multiverse to many other worlds. This is in my opinion not necessary, and it comes back into something we have been seeing more and more in 5th edition D&D. The need to tie everything together and give everything a common origin. Just give us the origin of the giant souls in one world, in this case it would be Faerun. In other worlds, giants may have their own unique histories that could have led to the creation of giant souls. Such as in Eberron, for instance, where the great empires of the giants rivaled most other civilizations. It would make perfect sense in Eberron that the giants of Zendrik imbued some of their favorite smallfolk slaves with power, perhaps as a grand experiment, and after the fall of the giant empires, those individuals spread across the world. It is completely unnecessary for all giant souls to originate from one plane in the multiverse. Well, with the lore out of the way, let's move on to the game mechanics presented. Now, sorcerers gain 2 abilities from their origin at level 1. The first ability of the Giant Soul grants them 1 additional hit points at level 1, and 1 more for each sorcerer level they gain. This feels rather thematic, as giants are known for their size, resilience and toughness. It is a bit of a shame though that the Draconic Bloodline Sorcerer already have a version of this ability. They also gain additional armor and scales, so their origin is far more visually interesting. I suppose there are just so many abilities though, and although I prefer if class options are as unique as possible, some overlap is bound to happen eventually, and as long as the rest of the origin is different enough, I think it can be okay. The Giant Soul's second ability marks them as having the heritage of a particular type of giant. At level 1, the Giant Soul learns an extra spell and a cantrip tied to that kind of giant. And at higher levels there are some other effects that are based upon your choice at level 1, and an additional spell. Overall I'm pretty happy by the spells that are given at this level. I especially like the Hill Giant spells, which offer Chalet and Heroism, meaning you can have a sorcerer who wades into close combat, smashing his foes with a club while receiving temporary hit points. Perhaps not the most optimal way to play a sorcerer, but definitely different from the standard elemental-based attack spell slinging dragon sorcerer. The only spell I do not agree with, and that I found stuck out, was one of the Stone Giant spells. At level 1, Stone Giant Souls receive Entangle, which is a nifty spell to have. It creates a patch of vines and plants and restrains and hinders your foes. It doesn't feel like, to me however, like it fits the theme of the Stone Giant. Stone Giants generally live underground and view surface life as surreal and chaotic, in due part to its quickness and mutability. I wouldn't think of them as being in touch with plants or nature that grows. No, I would instead give them Earth Tremor. It's a first level spell, also hinders movement, and creates difficult terrain if it's cast in stone or loose earth. It fits the same niche effect-wise, and it's far more thematic and appropriate for a Stone Giant Soul. At level 6, the Giant Soul gets an ability to trigger a unique effect after they use their signature giant spells. I really like this mechanic, as it feels somewhat different from many of the things that have been done with other classes in the past. It makes the signature spells of the sorcerer feel more unique and interesting, as if your magic is different from a magic wielded by others. Some of these are a bit too powerful in their current wording though. I think several need to be changed so that they only trigger when you cast a spell of first level or higher, as Being able to trigger these effects with a cantrip is just too powerful. For example, the Cloud Giant Mark allows you to teleport as a bonus action, meaning you've essentially got access to an infinite amount of missteps. Pretty nifty to get out of dangerous situations, maybe a bit too nifty. Yes, it has a somewhat shorter range and would use both your action and bonus action to pull off, but it still seems a bit overpowered. Let me give some more examples. The Frost Giant Mark gives temp HP equal to your con mod, meaning if you spam your Ray of Frost, you essentially have Heroism permacast on yourself. The Hill Giant Mark would give your Chalet a chance to knock 2 creatures away. The Storm Giant Mark would let Shocking Grasp automatically deal your con mod in damage to 3 different creatures within 30 feet, so it kinda lets you double the damage output of the cantrip at that level, makes it into an AoE, makes it into a partial range attack, and those extra hits aren't rolled to hit. They're automatic, so that's pretty powerful for a cantrip. I can't say for sure how these effects will be exploited by players, but I've got that gut DM feeling that these effects are too powerful to be tied to cantrips. As I hinted at earlier, my fix would be to limit these effects to spells of first level or higher, and perhaps add an additional spell to the marks list. That way, there are still several ways to use these marks, but they won't get out of hand as easily. At level 14, the Giant Soul can call on his heritage to grow in size for a minute, gaining reach, hit points, speed, damage, and advantage to strength saves and rolls. I like this. Again, melee sorcerers are a different spin in my class, and it feels very thematic with the Giant Soul. To be able to turn giantesque for a little while and unleash some of that might. At level 18 you also gain a second use of his ability, and in a pretty cool move they stack, meaning that first you might grow to the size of an ogre, but then you can reach true giant size when your full potential has been reached. I have no complaints here, it's cool. Lastly, at level 18 Giant Souls also increase their constitution by 2, and their maximum is increased to 22. I haven't touched on this before, but many of the Giant Soul's additional abilities are based on their constitution, which again feels very thematic, so it's a definitive boost to their power and survivability to get this buff. The one complaint I have here is with the wording. It should be worded that the maximum constitution score is increased by 2, not that it increases to a maximum of 22, as it's worded right now. It might seem like a small change, but it means that this won't stack with anything else that increases the constitution maximum. I am sure that this is intentional, but many Giant Souls that have played long enough to reach level 18 will no doubt already have tried to seek out means to increase their constitution, meaning that this would not do anything for them. Imagine a group around level 6 or 7 in a long-running campaign that came across a manual of health. Now the Giant Soul seems like a natural fit for reading it, but it won't stack with his class ability. Should he then let someone else read it who might not have as much use for it, just in the off chance that the group plays long enough to reach level 18? When it comes to characters of such high levels, I don't think being able to reach a constitution of 24 is too powerful. Don't get me wrong, it is powerful, but not to such a degree that I think it would break the game, not any more than any other high level ability. So my overall thoughts are, this seems pretty interesting, but it needs more balancing and a more careful touch on the lore. I would definitely want to see the Giant Soul become an official origin in time. It fits thematically into the world, and it brings to mind some interesting characters. While reading through the Giant Soul, I was a little bit tempted of rolling up a Fire Genasi Giant Soul, who was a literal descendant of a fire giant, hence her elemental nature. I think this origin could fit well with a character starting out in Storm King's Thunder as well, to give him a personal stake in the campaign. I always see it as a good sign if my creative juices start simmering while reading something. So, what are your thoughts on the Giant Soul? Would you like to see it become official? Is it too powerful, or maybe not powerful enough? Let me know in the comments below. And as always, if you enjoyed my video, feel free to leave a like, it really helps out a lot. If you would like to see more content from me in the future, you can also subscribe, and don't forget to press the bell icon if you wish to receive notifications when I upload new content. If you would like to support our channel, you can share this video with your friends, or you can check out my DM's guild products. You can also follow me on Tumblr or Twitter. Links to all of that in the description below. Until next time, Dungeon Delvers.